Hello again, everyone. It is the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast.
That's
into
right.
the year 2023.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Another session of a show that could be on the radio, but it's too damn good, and they wouldn't know what to do with it.
No, they wouldn't. There's other things they have to attend to over these airwaves. That's why they gave us the internet.
That's right. Traffic and weather on the 10s is one of the big things.
You can depend on that, that's for sure. So you can also depend on us for certain things, including lists. We'll get to that here momentarily. But first, you found a very interesting article from 1923.
Yeah, this is a collection of different things that a feller on Twitter found. A feller?
Bob Feller? Bullet Bob Feller?
Yes. Where he found a bunch of clippings saying, okay, here's what things are going to be like 100 years from now in 1923.
It's always interesting to look back at that. Even back in the 70s, what they thought the year 2000 was going to be, some of the sci-fi movies. So I only can imagine what people in 1923 thought 2023 was going to look like.
And think about what life would have been like in 1923. Not everybody, people didn't, some people had cars, others didn't. Not everybody had running water. I mean, it was still kind of...
The internet was years away.
Yeah, we were still kind of we had 1 foot in the industrial age and 1 foot still back in...
1 foot still in the outhouse.
In the outhouse, exactly. So, Dr. Charles P. Steinmetz...
Of course. That's a 1923 name I've ever heard.
Declares no more hard work by 2023. The electrical expert believes that the time is coming when there will be no long drudgery and people will not toil more than 4 hours a day thanks to electricity.
Ha-ha! How wrong you were, Dr. Steinmetz.
He visualizes an amazing transformation in life in 2023. Every city will be a spotless town thanks to electricity.
Except for in San Francisco, where people poop in the streets. Electricity can't help with that.
Didn't consider that, did you? Another clip from the Savannah News says, it is now predicted that by the year 2023, only a mere little stretch of a century ahead, women will probably be shaving their heads.
What?
There's a big gap from there.
Spicy
heads.
in 2023.
Not sure what exactly they were.
They wanted a whole society of Sinead O'Connors.
Women will be shaving their heads and men will be wearing curls. Also, the maidens may pronounce it the height of style in personal primping to blacken their teeth. So a bunch of shaved head, black teeth women walking around.
In 2023, while curly-haired men are flocking around as well.
According to the Minneapolis Journal, it is attractive prophecy that Glenn Curtis from the Airline Authority gives to Air Flight. He predicts that by the year 2023, gasoline will have been replaced by radio, and the skies will be filled with a myriad of craft sailing over well-defined routes.
Because of your radio is going to fly the plane?
Yeah, the radio will replace gasoline as fuel. Somehow.
And here's the thing. Unfortunately for those folks, had it been true, you couldn't run your car on the show because we're not on the radio.
No.
That would be upsetting.
No, we're like the electric vehicle of radio.
We're the Tesla.
We're the awesome picture of tomorrow that yesterday's radio can't see.
I love that. That's going to be the new catchphrase if I can remember it. Got any more predictions for 2023?
Yeah.
Any of them having to do with Nugenics, which, by the way, is still our sponsor. Just text the word chalk. That's the new word, by the way. I don't understand it. Chalk is a new word to get the discount.
Yeah, well, they've got it. Yeah, it's different for every time the ad runs.
Yeah.
Fewer doctors and present diseases unknown. All people will be beautiful. Beauty contests will be unnecessary, as there will be so many beautiful people that it will be almost impossible to select winners.
There'll be an entire... I'm sorry, I just turned where we're recording this podcast. Kate Baldwin's on, so there's an entire race of Kate Baldwins in 2023.
It is... there's another prediction that men will be wearing curls. I don't know why that was such a strange thing. I guess
they'll be going back to curls the way George Washington wore them, so elegantly.
If you didn't have curls, I guess that was... If you had curls, I guess it was considered more feminine.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Interesting.
And I at least have to give it to this one that predicted that by the year 2023, the population of the United States will probably be 300 million.
Hey,
Pretty close.
Yeah, not far off.
It's actually a little low, but they were on the and that will imply an immense progress in the drainage of our lowlands and the irrigation of the arid lands. Everything will be green and lush in 2023.
Running on our radio airplanes with no ugly people and the beautiful women with bald heads and blackened teeth.
And finally, by the year 2023, everyone will have enough to eat. Utensils and dwellings will be made of pulp. So as to utilize vegetation and stone in every stage of decay, yes.
Ugh, gross. Can you believe?
And cement.
Can you believe living in a home made of nothing of what you don't want in your orange juice?
Right. But the stuff that we would discard from celery and things like that they would figure out a way to use that in building material.
Thank you, 1923 and Dr.
That's what life in
Steinmetz
2023 will be like.
Here's a list from 2023. Lake Superior State, they don't have to take it so literally with their superior, because every year they come up with their annual list of words they say deserve to be banished from our vocabularies over misuse, overuse, and uselessness. All right, so here is Lake Superior State University in Michigan and their list. Here is the full list of the school's banished words for 2023. We begin with goat, the greatest of all time. They think that's overplayed,
It is.
no need anymore, and I tend to agree.
Because by very definition, there can only be one goat.
But there's always the back and forth debate of who is the GOAT, though. There only can be one, but who is it?
And if you want to get, this is Tiger Woods is the GOAT of golf and Michael Jordan's the GOAT of basketball, that's fine. But now everything's the GOAT.
Right, and you don't need that anymore.
No more goats.
Inflection point.
We are approaching an inflection point.
Yes.
I don't know what I just said there.
Yeah, the inflection point. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
The inflection point for this, the inflection point for that does need to go away. It
sounds
it's
unnecessarily ominous. It's never quite
No.
where we are.
Right. You're right. It's always in a very well, the inflection point for the madness is about to ensue. Did we hit the inflection point here? Is this mess in Congress the inflection point to a change, to a new debate? No, It's not. It never is. Quit using that word.
But then it gets used like in a divorce mediation. I think we're reaching an inflection point right here. It just becomes sort of ridiculous.
I mean, just because his penis was in someone else doesn't mean quiet quitting.
Quiet quitting.
That could have gone away right when it first started.
Boy,
that quiet quitting crap.
That was one of those expressions that, once people discovered it, it burned red hot, and we discovered that there are people working who don't enjoy their job and are thinking about another one.
What?
Yeah, that is the newest thing to happen.
Call
right
Dr.
now.
Steinmetz because that's a futuristic prophecy there.
Never in the history of gainful employment have people gone, I don't know how I like this place anymore. I might be thinking about something else.
The fourth word to be banished this year from Lake Superior State University is gaslighting.
Lost its meaning, didn't it?
Yeah, it kind of did, because everything became gaslit. Number 5, moving forward.
Yeah.
Moving forward, let's get gaslighting out of our thing, because this is the inflection point for that word.
Yes, moving forward, the GOAT will only be one person.
Number 6 is amazing.
Amaze balls.
That's kind of overused. I do like amaze balls, though.
Yeah.
But everyone, oh my God, this brunch is amaze balls. Oh my God, cranberry instead of orange juice for my mimosa is amaze balls. Not everything is amazing.
Yeah, and I think that comes under the category of any sort of we speak as though things literally are what they are. I literally died yesterday. I literally laughed so hard I pissed my pants.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Number 7 is, does that make sense?
Yes, it's between 6 and 8.
Correct. Okay. Moving on. Well played. Here's one that always gets people gaslit. Irregardless. Because it's not even really a word, is it?
And this one seems to always show up on lists of things you shouldn't say. No, it's not a word. And so that always, I don't know why it suddenly shows up here. Did it? Because that for years, when back, I don't know if you remember this, Mike. We used to be on the radio.
Oh, we did. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Hence the name of this particular podcast, Too Good for the Radio.
And it was a pretty good show.
It was. We had fun. It was good. I mean, Roy Wayne Tyree.
But we
Poverty nuts. I mean, just playing all the hits here.
Good stuff. But we would have this conversation. People would call in and say, I hate it when people say irregardless. Because, it's not a word.
Regardless takes care of it.
Yeah.
There's no
it's a mush of irrespective and regardless.
And into irregardless, that needs to be absolutely, which is number 9 on the list, absolutely needs to go. Because you're right. It's the same thing about, I literally did that. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely amazing. Absolutely this. That needs to go.
Well, and they argue that the word absolutely has usurped just simply saying yes.
True.
Hey, can you get me that thing? Absolutely. I am at your service.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people use that in place of yes. And the number 10 on their list of banished words for the year in 2023 from Lake Superior State University, it is what it is.
It was banished for in 2008 for overuse, misuse, and uselessness. Pointless, cop-out. Only Yoga Berra should be allowed to use such utter...
the nonsense of I say it...
It is what it is.
I say it sometimes, and usually it is in terms of something disappointing. Mm-hmm. No one ever... When you have a great win or something like that or something happy in your life, you go, well, it is what it is. It's usually like... You just got a shit sandwich, and you're like, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It sounds like something Job would have said in the Bible times when he's sitting on that manure pile or whatever. Well, it is what it is. What can I do?
I was considering quiet quitting, but it is what it is. And
I don't mean to gaslight you. It is what it is,
here.
though. I mean, it's amazing absolutely how that happened. Taking a little bit, moving north just a little bit from Lake Superior State in Michigan to up in Canada. Every year we get these lists of denied vanity plates. Well, Canada released some of theirs. Oh. And so I wondered if there'd be a difference between, because Canadians are always so polite.
Yeah.
So I wondered if there'd be any difference between the ones that said no to in Canada as opposed to the ones here in the U.S.
Yeah, and they probably, things like burp, real benign stuff.
License plates that were hard to read is where they start. So that's why it wasn't because they were anything like, salacious. It was just they'd be too hard to read.
Oh, so that people would be trying to figure them out while they're driving.
Right, exactly. Okay. So like, just sold. JU5T sold.
Oh.
For the Maple Leafs, LE4F5. So it made it look like Leafs, but Leafs.
I don't know why would just creative spelling be something that...
Here's one. Mr. Fresh, but the E is a 3.
Okay.
Sorry with 4 R's. Old, and then Wakanda with a 4 in place of one of the A's.
Okay.
They said no to all those. Also, violent license plates were not permitted, like dogfight and I sell gun.
Stubbed my toe.
And no kind of variation of The Shining's red rum was allowed at all.
I can get on board with that.
They also, nothing against law enforcement. That was poo-poo po-po was one. VV Putin was also rejected. Greta Who against Greta Thunberg or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, that was rejected.
I mean, you got to really have an issue with Greta Thunberg to make a license plate about her.
Yeah, why would that bug you that much?
Yeah.
That's someone who has other issues in their life to be like, I'll show her. Yeah. I got my gas-guzzling car. It's going to ruin everything.
Yes, man. She's not somebody I think about the whole time.
And then here are the ones that were salacious that they said no to up in Canada. These are license plates that weren't allowed, vanity plates in Canada. Are you dumb? Was not allowed. Bye, bitch, but the I was an X.
Okay.
Damn was also. Heckin'.
Can I have damn with just one A, or is it just when they extend it out like that?
I don't know. They didn't say that, but the one.
And is it DAYYYYYYM or DAAAAYM?
There's 4 A's in there.
What if it's DAYUM?
Damn. That could be okay. Yeah. That wasn't on the list. Heckin' is on the list because it's Canada. Heckin. Heckin'. Can't have that on your license plate. Waddafak. WADDAFAK. And finally, another one, Fox Sakes. FOXSAKES.
Fox sakes.
Fox Sakes. Because that sounds Canadian.
Sakes.
Oh, for Fox Sakes.
That's how you'd say it.
So you want to stay up north? Because you got a story involving...
Yeah.
This is quintessential Canadian.
We're in a town called Red Deer, Canada.
Okay.
During a recent evening stroll on Anders on the Lake, guy named David Meredith was walking, and he sees an adult moose
Oh, those things can be mean if you come upon them, and they're huge.
Big.
You don't realize it until you actually see a moose in person. You go like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, and it's pictures don't do them justice.
No,
they are
don't.
Enormous.
Yeah.
Enormous. So he sees a moose and he kind of ducks behind a tree, going, "Oh God, I don't want to."
Playing hide and seek with a moose.
Yeah.
A very Canadian game.
David Meredith says he ended up doing a bluff charge. I'm not sure what that is.
Whoa. A bluff charge? Is that something in Urban Dictionary? Like the moose did or he did?
The moose did a bluff charge.
Hey, gotcha.
Yeah.
Just messing with you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Going to hide? Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
So he does a bluff charge.
Yeah, what you doing? Yeah. I'm not hitting you. You're hitting yourself.
Exactly. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
He ended up doing a bluff charge, so I took that opportunity to scream like a little girl and run up a tree.
That's exactly what the moose wants.
Yeah, exactly.
You know his buddies are looking out in the woods. He's like, "Watch this.
Wow.
I'm going to bluff charge this guy. Let's see what happens."
Yeah. I wonder if that's something they teach you in Canadian elementary school. Okay.
Today's
We're
lesson.
now going to line up the little girls, and you're going to scream so that the boys understand what it sounds like to scream like a little girl in case there's a moose.
All right, so he screams like a girl, runs up a tree.
Once he was off the ground and safer in the branches of the tree, he pulled out his phone and started recording.
Of course, because that's what we do nowadays.
He assumed the animal would move along, but it started charging back and forth and using his antlers to hit the tree.
Uh-oh.
It's like, I'm going to get you down out
Exactly.
of here. We are not done with this. You thought I was bluffing earlier.
If that's what you do when I bluff a charge, I want to see what you do when I really charge.
He was grunting and had every intention to trample me by the looks of things. It was quite intimidating. The photos don't do it justice of how close it felt. He estimated that he stayed in the tree for 15 minutes before the moose finally ran away. He said he's lived in the same neighborhood for 22 years. You see the occasional rabbit, deer, lots of ducks. With everybody shut down and not doing anything, it seems like the animals moved into town.
Yeah, blame that.
Doug Evans, the Red Deer City Park planner, said moose sightings are relatively common. He said, this one's unpredictable. It's not something we normally see. There are circumstances that can happen. If it's something you can put between an animal to protect you, that's always your first instinct. And scream like a little girl.
By the way, can you imagine? There's nothing more Canadian than calling into work late because, I'm sorry, I'm stuck in a tree because of a moose. I did the girl scream. Don't worry about it. I did the girl scream. It just didn't go away. So now he's trying to get me out of the tree, eh?
He said, I just think let them be and take your photos from a distance and let them do their thing. I don't think their intentions are to hurt us by any means. Just don't provoke them and give them a reason to be intimidated. Just let them pass, I guess.
They got good beer. Moosehead beer.
Just think about the moose.
Yeah, think about the moose. Scream like a girl. If you take nothing from this particular episode, if you see a moose, scream like a girl, run up a tree.
Bear, play dead. Moose, scream like a girl.
Yes, exactly. Moving on here on the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast. This is it's not a fantastic story for the woman involved here, but it's a guy who I don't know if he ever sleeps in the bed for the next month and a half.
Okay.
I'm going to take you over to Thailand because it also has a great name. The next two stories actually have great names in them. So this is happening around the holidays where this guy in Thailand whose name is Boon Tom Shamoon, which is fantastic. Him and his wife are driving to visit her parents, okay? They're driving overnight, and call of nature happens. They got to pull over to a rest area, okay? He goes in to take care of his business, comes back to the car, and just drives off. Because he assumed that his wife was sleeping in the back seat. But when they pull over to do the business, she's like, well, call of nature.
As long as we're stopped.
As long as we're stopped, I'll go. Unbeknownst to poor Boon Tom. So he gets back in the car, assuming that his dutiful wife is still in the car sleeping. Now, his wife, because she was sleeping in the back seat, had left her purse up in the front seat, which had her phone in it. So he takes off. She didn't bring the purse into the rest stop because what do you need that for?
Right.
So next thing you know, old Boon Tom Shamoon is driving down the road. Wife comes back, doesn't see the car. Now this is like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
All right. So now she not only doesn't have a husband, doesn't have the car, doesn't have her purse, doesn't have a phone.
It's got nothing.
And it's not like it's a hopping place, this rest stop in the middle of...
Oof.
So she then has to walk nearly 13 miles
Oh, my gosh.
to the nearest town to try to get a hold of the husband. So Boom Tom is just pedal to metal trying to get to her family. She gets to the police station. She doesn't know his phone number by heart. So she can't call Boom Tom, but she knows her own phone number because she's given that one.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, my phone is in my purse, so let me call my husband Boom Tom.
He's not going to answer. That's her phone.
No, he didn't. Over 20 calls were made to the phone. It just kept going and going. Now, she doesn't know if it was on silent or he just was like, hammered down, listen to Radar Love, is like, we're gonna get there when we get there because we're driving overnight. Finally, they get a hold of him at 8 a.m. So it's been like it's a 4-hour ordeal.
This sucks.
Boom Tom finally gets a hold of. He's 100 miles down the road.
Oh, ouch.
He has to turn around and go pick up his lovely bride. They're now 4 hours behind. Now, here's the thing. Boom Tom immediately turned the car around when he realized he left the wife behind. The embarrassed driver said he thought she was asleep in the back and apologized to his wife when he finally got back to pick her up.
This is on her.
This is on her, you think?
Yes, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is.
Because she didn't take her purse in? Or
No.
How is it
she
on
didn't
her?
let him know. Look, he looked in the back. There's a pile of blankets there.
Right.
And he's doing everything he can to let his wife sleep.
Okay.
It's like, I'm just going to stop, go to the bathroom, get back in the car.
yeah, we'll
He
go.
probably left the car, and so he was doing everything he can to not disturb his wife and probably thought that he got away with it.
How long was his bathroom break? You bring up an interesting point in this particular story, saying it's on her, because I was like, oh my God, how could you forget about your wife? But you're right. Being a considerate husband, you wouldn't want to wake her up.
Yeah.
But what was the time frame between, like, when did she jostle awake? Because he shouldn't have taken that long in the restroom,
Doesn't
right?
matter. Doesn't matter. See, this is because we've all been in that situation where you're driving, someone's asleep. You got to stop, and that usually wakes the person up.
It does.
Because it just things change. And so he was probably doing everything he could to
not wake her.
To not wake her up. He pulled off, slowed down, left it running, the heater on.
Yeah, probably lightly shut the door and all that can click. And then
tiptoed, did it real quickly.
And I don't know if you even would think after all of that to look in the rear view again before you leave, because why would you think they got up and went to the restroom?
Yeah, she probably had like a pile of blankets or something.
Yeah, right.
And so he just got in and went off and thought, I didn't wake her up.
It's also on her if her phone was on silent. I mean, 20 calls is a lot. I mean, even if the phone was not on silent, it's hard to go through if he's cranking the music, although he wouldn't have if he thought she was asleep. I don't know, but long story short, she says the couple have been married for 27 years, and she didn't even argue with him when he picked her up.
She knows it's her fault.
Because she knows it's her fault. You're right. That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
That's the only the kind of perspective you get not on the radio. On the radio, it would have been all about that guy. But on this podcast...
People be calling in, arguing with us, but you can't do that right now.
No, you can't do that right now. So we go from Boom Tom to another fun name in this particular story before we wrap things up here on the Too Good for Radio podcast. This story involves a dude down in Florida, and it could have been it didn't have to be Florida. It could have been anywhere, but it just so happens to be Florida. This isn't like Florida Man.
Gotcha. So
this particular dude decides that he goes into a massage parlor, okay? And he says after a conversation, the man decided on a half-hour stress-relieving experience. He happily turned over a crisp $100 bill. However, he never received his change. Instead, the masseuse, whose name we'll wait for, takes him back to a back room. She says, hey, strip down, get on this table. And he's like, well, do I need a towel or anything? She goes, nah, you're good. So completely in the nude, he said he noticed that the masseuse then did nothing but meander aimlessly around the room for nearly 5 minutes. As he started to suspect he might be getting...
cracking her knuckles and getting ready,
getting
doing some stretches.
And he says, as he started to suspect he might be getting scammed, The masseuse then poured some oil and began barely applying pressure to his aching shoulders. He's like, I need some stress reliever. So,
But it was like 10W30 oil. It wasn't
right,
like a massage
right,
oil.
Exactly.
Gloop.
Bleh, bleh. It was used oil from a fryer. Following 10 minutes of light kneading, the masseuse then ordered the man to flip over to his back. Once again, without the security of a hand towel or any symbolic covering.
A little weird.
The massage resumed with focus on his upper chest. So she just starts kind of caressing his chest. That's when he said...
You didn't have to demonstrate that, by the way. I don't know why you just did that.
Hey, what's going on?
It was really uncomfortable.
Hey, what's going on? Nugenics. She'll like it, too. So he then claims, without provocation, the masseuse securely grabbed his penis and testicles.
Oh, my gosh.
So grabbed a handful of everything down there. Now, here's his account. Quote, aghast at the clutching of his privates, the man told the masseuse to unhand his genitals. Unhand my genitals,
I
man!
insist you give those back right now.
Yes. It was then the man told authorities that the masseuse began negotiating sexual favors and asking for money to continue.
Wow.
Grabbing his clothes, the man demanded his money back and threatened to call 911. The masseuse refused, only returning $50 and attempted to block the man from leaving the business.
Holy smokes.
I have a hold of your genitals.
Yes.
The man claims the masseuse became physical and even pushed him up against a wall to stop him from fleeing.
Dang.
So he grabbed his clothes, but I'm assuming all of this transpired while he was still flopping around.
Probably so.
With the whole world to see, and Doug Flutie going, she'll like it too. Sheriffs were called. They responded to the massage spa. They found that the masseuse was the instigator. She's arrested and faces charge of unnatural and lascivious act and battery. By the way, the name of that particular masseuse who grabbed the genitals, penis, testicles, and all without any want, Quinway Dong.
Oh, see, well, there's your giveaway. It wasn't like a big Swedish guy.
No, it's Quinway Dong.
Quinway Dong.
Who went straight for the dong.
Now, is this on him?
Yeah, I think it is on him, right? If you go in somewhere and they don't have a board and you just be like, all right, I'll take the $100 stress relieving massage. Here's my $100, and they don't give you any change or tell you how much it's going to be, and then you go in there and like strip down and they don't put a towel anywhere. What do you kind of think was going to happen?
There are places in town, and there's one where the sign is literally a hand-painted sign. It's just somebody got out a paintbrush and just said, massage here with an arrow. Isn't that a clue that maybe it's a little dodgy?
It's the same as like the people that sell, or the signs you see that say, I buy mattresses.
Yeah,
and it's just some weird, like some guy with a weird kink, it looks like. It's just a handwritten phone number. Like, I don't want to sell you my Like, yeah, this is on him.
There's something, you can just kind of, there's something about the sign that makes you go, I'm not sure that this is really what I think it is.
Nudity should always be functional, right? Either you're going to be doing a hibbity-dibbity, taking a shower, something along those lines. Just to go into a room and someone say, strip down, and you go, okay, and they just have you stand there and then meander around, and then when they go, flip on your front, and they don't put a towel over the junkage area on a massage.
And look, conversely, if that's what you're looking for, the sign again gives it away. You go, yep, it's one of those places. All right.
I'm not going to need a towel. Here we go. I got a crisp $100 bill that I just won from Bozo Buckets.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and it's unfortunate too, because I'm sure there are plenty of them that are you're just going to get a massage,
above
whatever.
Board. Yeah,
okay, fine.
A lot above board.
But they do themselves a disservice where you go, that's a little. Why is it in a gas station? You know, just all these kinds of clues.
Why is the masseuse name Dong?
Yeah.
That could be a clue.
First name, Grab Ya
Dong. And finally here on the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast, we end with a Am I the A-hole?
Okay.
And I think this is the first time ever, whether you're listening to the podcast, wherever you're listening, a consensus 100% of we know who the A-hole is in this story. All right? It starts. So ever since I had my son months ago, my husband has started making indirect comments about my body. He never says hurtful words, but I find his quote-unquote observations, as he calls it, hurtful. For example, he'd see me wearing an old top and say, quote, oh, that top used to look good on you, but not anymore, though.
Her son?
No, this is her husband.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So she had a son a few months ago.
Okay,
she just had the baby, and now her husband's making these observations about her body.
No, okay.
Like, that top used to look good on you, but not so much anymore.
Jeez.
Or when he looks at my waist and says, wow, didn't know your waist could get this wide.
No kidding.
Basically passive stuff. That's not passive.
No, that's not passive at all.
She's giving him the extreme benefit of the doubt that, wow, I didn't know your waist could get this wide is passive.
Right. No, that's not passive.
I mean, that's not passive at all. I mean, he's not saying, hey, you're fat.
Right.
But he's basically saying that. Basically passive stuff, she says, that I tried to ignore till it extended to friends and family. FYI, this went on for months and months and months. So, we go to a Christmas celebration at his family's home. My sister-in-law complimented my floral maxi dress, and my husband said, quote, I agree it looks nice on you, though I have to admit that your waist could get smaller than this. So his sister-in-law, his sister, says, man, that's a great-looking dress. And he goes, yeah, it does look good, but I prefer you get it in a smaller size, in so many words.
Yeah.
Okay?
Emphasis on maxi.
Yeah. Awkward silence took over. I was absolutely fuming, and this was my last straw. So I got up from my chair in the middle of dinner and shouted at the top of my lungs, shut the fuck up about my body! He was absolutely speechless as his family stared while some others tried to get me to calm down. But the situation got more tense and dinner ended up being cut short and my husband storming off to his friend's place.
How did dinner not end immediately?
When someone...
At some point you go,
wait.
I'm sorry, I'm still waiting for my salad.
Yeah. Just a reenactment real quick.
Can I get some more iced tea over here?
Yeah, could I fill up any water glasses for anybody? Yeah. Anybody need some extra? Shut the fuck up about my body!
Yeah, sorry. Can I get some ranch?
Who goes, could you pass potatoes after that, please?
Right.
Yeah, immediately it should have ended, but you're right.
A little steak sauce for this?
It's a little underdone. Could I get a little bit more gravy on it? So anyway, everyone goes silent in that particular part. It goes a little stressful, then ends abruptly. He goes to a friend's place to spend the night upon leaving, and then he sent a very nasty text saying, I embarrassed him and made a scene over a quote-unquote observation he made.
Wow.
He called me childish and told me to get therapy for my insecurities instead of verbally abusing him and scaring his family. So he's saying her comment was verbally abusing and scared his family. She needs counseling now.
Well, I think he's right, and I think that was her intent. Was to be abusive and scare people.
How do you
She's
like
right.
that? Yeah.
She's right. That was that, and she should have.
Now she
should. That nobody will ever say that to her again, and that was the point.
She says, now I feel like an absolute idiot a-hole and like I ruined Christmas for him and everybody with my oversensitivity. Oh, am I the a-hole?
This poor woman.
She is not the a-hole.
No.
It is 100% hands down.
That's pretty messed up.
Is the a-hole. Because there was nothing passive about him saying, wow, I didn't know your waist could get that wide. That's being an a-hole.
Yeah, and
she just bore your child, you dick.
Right. And look, let's assume that he, I don't know, had some legitimate concerns. Hey, I don't know, maybe you're putting on some weight. There might be a way to approach that.
If it is
in a relationship,
if it's coming from a loving place of I'm concerned about you just had a child, right? We're trying to raise this together, and hey, I've noticed you continued some bad eating habits.
Right.
I want you to be healthy so that we can raise this child together. Could we maybe go to the gym together, or should we both get on a new healthy eating routine? That's one way to go about it. That some could say would be passively saying, hey, you're overweight. But when you go, wow, I didn't know your waist can beat that, or that top used to look good, but not anymore, though, right?
I didn't know your sack could hang down by your knees like that, old man. You know,
right.
That would be a little...
And I think you hit the nail on the head of she chose this particular, whether subconsciously or not, she chose this particular event to finally hit the breaking point because it was a public repudiation of all he had been through.
I don't think she chose anything. I think just nature took over and said, "Okay, attack."
Enough is enough.
Yeah, I think that was a full defensive fight or flight moment, and she chose fight.
Yeah, I can't say I blame her because it's Christmas, family, and but I still love the fact that just in the middle of, how the peas? You like the sweet potato? Shut the fuck up about my body.
So, are you finished? Or you want to take that home? Or are you still working on that over there? Can I get you a box?
I guess the cookies I made for. Christmas is off the table. So we'll see you New Year's maybe.
Just a little something for the road. I can maybe put
together a to-go box or something.
Coffee? Can I get your coffee?
Something to calm me down. A warm beverage, maybe some tea to calm things down.
There's
a bit.
no coming back from that. Once that one gets dropped, it's like, let's all go home.
But I think we need an agreement that the husband's 100% a-hole in this story.
That's pretty remarkable. I don't know how you get to that point of douchebaggery.
Yeah, so there you go. That guy's 100% a-hole, and maybe he's one of the curly-haired dudes that Steinmetz was talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In the future, men will be idiots.
Yeah. Oh, imagine that.
No, they've always been idiots.
Like the people who are thinking about quiet quitting. So that wraps up another edition of the Mike and Molson Too Good for Radio podcast.
Thanks for letting us be in your ears.
Yes, and she'll like it too.